You can scooch over a little bit, dog. Now that we're down.
You keep scooching next to me.
Yeah, it's because I'm better working.
Oh, that angle makes me look like I have a double chin.
That's okay. You can grow your beard out like I do, and it hides everything. All right, guys. Next question with Vinnie and Jenilee, episode number 22. On a Thursday tonight, Jay. 8:30 p.m., 8:33. We're a few minutes behind. I apologize. But we're going to get right into it. We're going to get rocking and rolling. Let's get started, Jay.
Okay, my 2-year-old dog is suddenly afraid to walk down certain streets, especially in the dark when there are shadows. He stops and tries to pull back, but I have been moving him along by saying heel and giving his leash a gentle tug forward. This generally works, but sometimes taking upwards to 10 to 15 tries. Just want to make sure this is the appropriate to keep him moving along.
Yeah. Can I cut you off?
Yeah.
I would change. So say your dog is unsure. So this is just a typical dog who's unsure of whether it's the nighttime, the shadows, whatever it is. It really doesn't matter. If my dog is unsure, typically the last thing you want to do is add in a leash correction at that point, because then what happens? I just get more unsure. I may move for that particular moment, so it'll help you over the next 15 to 30 seconds, but it's going to really hurt you over the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 weeks. So what I would suggest is actually stop worrying about going forward and start making my dog have a little bit more fun on the walk. So I would put a few high-value treats in my pocket when I go on a walk, and I wouldn't worry about going far from my house. I would worry about doing a little bit more obedience training. So what I mean by that is get your dog to focus on you more by changing frequently. If you're just trying to go straight and the dog's shutting down, you're going to be in a world of hurting. Do a lot of turns, a lot of sits, a lot of downs. Make it fun. I would even try to start before it gets dark. So maybe if the sun sets at 5:30, maybe I start at 5:10 and I finish at 5:45. And then 5:15 to 5:50, and I keep pushing further and further back until I can go out at 9 o'clock at night and do the same thing. Next question.
How can I transition a dog from a gentle leader to a prong or a flat buckle collar? 70-pound lab golden mix that is a chronic leash puller.
So you don't want to ever switch to a flat buckle collar if the dog's pulling. So I would scrap the gentle leader. Like for me, it's a horse collar. It's not something I would ever recommend or ever use. So a flat buckle collar puts pressure here, right? And you hear a lot of dogs who wheeze when they're walking on a flat buckle collar. Like a Herm Sprenger prong collar fits directly behind the ears, which is a beautiful thing. How I would transition from the gentle lead to the prong is just put the prong collar on. And don't, once again, kind of same answer as the last one. If you ever get uncertain, you want to hire a professional to show you how to. A prong collar is not something you just want to throw on a dog. You'd be like, all right, I'm going to try to figure this out and see what happens. If I'm uncertain, call a professional. That's why they're there. But I would just put it up high, and I would do, just like I talked about, some racetrack circles. Get my dog comfortable following the prong collar. As soon as he stops and sits, treat. Get him used to following, and then circle back and go the other way. Then start walking, and then back up quickly. Tell him come, have him come to you, put him in a sit, and restart the process. Get him comfortable turning with that prong collar. Next question.
Why don't you guys have a printable logo / sign that we can put out in our windows that says, please ignore our dogs, that is customizable to say our names too?
I'm like, I'm not saying that there's only 24 hours in the day and that I use all 24, but I'm pretty damn close. Here's the thing. Here's why I don't like printout of anything. You're not going to do it if you don't write it down. So if you write down your own sign, if you write down your own notes, there's a better chance that you're going to listen to your own rules. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're probably not going to listen if you get a printed out sheet of paper. Hey, go do this. That's not how it works, man. You got to do the training. You got to write the training down, and then we move on from there. Next question.
Why does my 8-year-old male Chorky?
Yeah, that's a Chihuahua Yorkie.
Admittedly not trained well because he is a little shit, attack my labs when they show vulnerability, hurt, or fear. I usually see it coming and grab him, but it's weird.
Well, so there's two reasons why. Number one, he's an animal, and almost all animals will manipulate or take advantage of weakness or fear. Now, just because he does that doesn't mean it's acceptable, or just because that's natural doesn't mean it's acceptable. What I would start to first things first, this dog should never be around the labs off leash, because if you let him off leash and you give him freedom, he's going to end up making a mistake. It'll take one time for the lab to actually not be all that fearful of the Chorky and just step on it, chomp it, and say, okay, well, you're probably never going to do this to me again. There's only so many times I can get punched in the face without punching somebody else back. Right? So he's doing it because he's sensing weakness and he wants to take over, but he needs to understand that he's not in a position to take over. He's breaking your rule, and we're forgetting that you should be the one in control. Next question.
Have you ever had a client who expected you to train their dog without them putting in any effort?
Yeah, definitely. And that, to be honest, that it sucks. What you guys have to understand is I do train dogs extremely well, but the reason I'm really successful is because I train humans better. I get them to commit. I make them understand that it doesn't matter how good of a dog handler I am. It's not my dog. Your dog's only going to be as good as the work that you guys put in. Your dog is a mirror of the work that you guys are putting in. Right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when that happens, I used to take it really personal. I'd be like, Jesus, man, you got to do the fucking work. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, for me, it stinks because this dog's not reaching his potential. And I know he's not reaching his potential, but there's only so much that I can do. So make sure you guys put in the hard work that your dog not only needs but deserves, because he's in your house. Next question. That's a great question, actually. Lisa Vento, great question, Lisa. Tremendous.
How can I keep... Wait.
Oh, God.
No, it was Catherine Wilson. You just messed me up.
Okay, my bad.
How can I get my dog to be calm in the car?
So this is a great question. How do I get my dog calm in the car? Number one, repetition and consistency are key. Number two, you could stop them from pacing. If you have a dog who paces back and forth in the car, put them in a seatbelt or put them in a crate. Stop letting them pace, because that's the problem. And then also practice the stay command in that kennel on the inside and in the outside. So for me, I would put a crate in my car and I'd put a crate in my house. I'd get my dog to learn how to stay in the crate in the house. Then I would teach him how to stay in the crate in the driveway. Then I would put him into the crate, calmly sit in the car. Then sit in the car and drive 2 blocks, 10 blocks, so on and so forth. And you just continue that same exact thing. It's a long process, but if you do it for 15 minutes every day, by the end of the month or 2 months, your dog's fixed. 2 months every day for 15 minutes sounds like a long time, but your dog's probably going to live till he's 15 years old. So let's get to work. Next question.
How can I keep my 4-month-old lab from pulling when on a leash?
How old?
4 months.
So this is a really young dog, 4 months old. Here's what I would suggest. Get them out of the grass is the first thing. So dogs are in the grass, they sniff too much, they don't pay attention to it. It leads to a boatload of problems. We walk all of our dogs on the sidewalk or all of our dogs on the street. 4 months is young though. So what your walk should consist of is 50% walking and 50% obedience. If I go on a walk with a 4-month-old dog and I just try to go a straight line here and back, dude, you're not doing anything with them. They're a puppy. They need to be engaged with more frequently. So this is where you take their kibble, you take some food, say, hey, let's do some training. Sit down, place, heel, the whole 9 yards. So I wouldn't worry as much about the pulling aspect. I would worry more about teaching good habits and starting to make the walk more productive and doing more obedience training. Next question. Hey, just so you guys know, the guys on Instagram, if you've watched us before where we do the what do we call that? Portrait mode versus the landscape. Does this bother you? We can sit a little further apart, so let me know in the messages below if this works out okay. Thank you so much. Next question.
Why is my dog afraid to come back into the door/house from being outside on a leash after he does his business? It's like he is a fish on a hook trying to get him back inside of the house.
Oh, how about that? So he probably had something spook him, right? And now his superstitious behavior, he thinks his tail could have got hit by the door. A gunshot could have went off when he was walking into the house. And now your dog's afraid of that specific spot. No big deal. What you do is you put him on leash, and now I have to create a better association with this spot. So just very calmly walk him out and walk him back in a few times. Every day, multiple times per day. So I put him on leash, I walk him out, I'll open up the door, I'm going to put my dog into his sit before he's allowed to go out. If I open up the door and let him run out, you're just building into that fear because now he's just going to run away from that specific spot. Where if you make him hold a sit, yes, treat, go out for the walk, come back, sit, go out, have to sit to come back inside. You just take your time, be consistent on it, and don't rush the process. Next question. It's good. Yeah, that's beautiful.
My dog Oliver hates having his nails clipped. He bites, growls, squirms. How can I desensitize him to make this easier? I tried peanut butter, Kong, etc. as a distraction.
When a dog bites when you're cutting their nails, the first thing that you want to do is I would muzzle train my dog, because the last thing I want to do is try to cut my dog's nails. He fidgets. I cut the quick. He bites me in the arm, and I lose a huge deal of trust with my dog. Yeah. So what you would do is you would muzzle train him, and people go, "Oh, he looks terrifying. Who gives a shit?" Right? And then what you could do is once you muzzle train the dog, you could put peanut butter on the inside of the muzzle. If it's a small dog, definitely. So they make two things, and I'm not a groomer by any means, but this is what I would do. Number one, put him up in the air, put him on a table, or suspend him. They have those harnesses that suspend from a doorway if it's a smaller dog. Now when he's in that harness thing, it's like a straitjacket. So he's just gonna sit there like, oh shit, what do I do now? And that makes it a little bit easier. But definitely muzzle train your dog. Anytime you have a dog who's barking or growling, you got to make sure you guys are muzzle training them. I'm gonna have this beautiful. We got sponsored by V8. I'm gonna have this beautiful V8 pomegranate blueberry.
That's one of my favorites.
I actually hate this one.
What?
I love the mango.
I don't like the mango.
Energy drink. I'll be up till what time you think?
Ugh, 12-1.
12. I'd be going to bed early. Next question.
Arlo is currently crate training. The
Love that. Very good.
entire time he whines and barks and protests. Is there any way to get him to stop?
Yeah. So you want to make the crate. Excuse me. You want to make the crate not just about putting him in and leaving. So make sure you guys are feeding your dog in the crate. Making sure you're putting him in there with high value bones and toys like a Kong with peanut butter, a bully stick, Himalayan chew toy, something like that he associates it's good. And then we do naps during the day while I'm home, and also crate your dog at night. So when I crate my dog at night, I put it in my bedroom so my dog is comfortable knowing that I'm around. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to get used to it, but it's the consistency. Once again, repetition is key on this one. But you have to put your dog in the crate for more than just...
when you're leaving.
Yeah, because then it's a kiss of death. And I thought of one other thing. I would teach my dog the word crate means go in my crate and sit there and stay there until I tell you it's time to come out. So put him on a leash, grab some high-value treats or some kibble, walk him up to the crate, say kennel or crate, whatever word, lightly push him into the crate. He spins around, he sits, treat, free, come out, crate, kennel, treat. Blah, blah. We do the same thing with place. It's the same exact command. It's actually the most effective command that you guys could use in your house. If there was one thing that I really need people to understand, the one command that you need for inside your house, the command, not like a behavior, not like a leave it or don't jump. The command is place or kennel, right? So that just means go to your kennel and stay there until I tell you it's time to leave, or go to your place and stay there until I tell you it's time to leave. It's so important. And then we'll go back to crate training. The most important thing about crate training is, so some people, they'll go, Vinnie, I don't know how often I should, you're not using it enough. Anytime you're not using your crate enough. You should use the shit out of your crate when you get a young dog. You should use it as much as you possibly can, as long as you're doing the sufficient amount of work when they're out of the crate. Next question.
I have 2 Australian Shepherds,
Yep.
ages 4 and 5, girls.
Yep.
They love going on car rides, but when they do, they run back and forth in the back seat like crazy the whole trip,
Yep.
whether the windows are open or not. And I have used seat belts, but they get tangled or end up stepping on the belt release button.
Yeah.
How can I make the ride better for me?
Kennel train and use 2 kennels in your car, right? So I would get 2 Sky kennels, those big plastic things. They're a pain in the ass, yes, and it's going to be awful to have 2 crates in your car, but guess what? Your dogs will be safe and they won't run around like an idiot. Kennel train your dog on the inside of the home too, so they're more comfortable with it. Do short trips at the beginning. Walk your dog before you do the trip so they're less anxious. Someone asked what type of muzzles. We like Baskerville muzzles a lot, and I like Jafco would be the 2. It just depends on what breed of dog yours is. Shoot me a PM, not a comment on here. Shoot me a PM with your dog, and I'll tell you what brand I want. Next question.
How do you stop a very jumpy 16-week-old puppy from jumping?
Yeah, so what I would suggest, 16-week-old dog, it depends. So the first thing you got to ask yourself is, once again, did I do anything with my dog? There's 4 things. There's 4 things. If I get a jumpy dog, that means he has a lot of energy. You can redirect it into training, so obedience training in the house. I can redirect it into leash walking. I can redirect it into a bone or a bully stick, and then finally I can punish the behavior, right? I don't want to have to do this too often with a puppy, but if my dog is jumping and it's detrimental, and we normally wait, so 16 weeks is a little under 4 months. We normally wait a couple months for this, but if my dog was continuing to jump at like say 5.5, 6 months, and it's a bigger dog, we have to correct this behavior. The pet corrector works out great for this. They jump up, you hit the button, they go, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. And then you ignore the dog. Big thing is here though, when you guys come home, if you're acknowledging your dog, you're reinforcing the fact that they're jumping. Every time you walk into a room, get the hell away from me, I don't even like you. Next question.
2 human friends want to go for a walk with their dogs. One of the dogs is protective of his human and growlish. What is the best way for 2 friends to go on a walk with their dogs and introducing them to each other so that their mamas can walk together?
All right, so this is great. So say I want to go on a walk. I'm actually going to use some visuals here. And I want to go on a walk. Dude, I'm going to just crush all of these waters by the end of the show. I'm on a walk, okay? And I need to get my dog around another dog who they're protective and they're not great together. The first time that you guys get together, understand you're not getting together. All right? All you're going to do is you're going to drive to the same location, preferably not either one of your houses. We drive to the same location. I'm going to park here. I'm going to park here. I need to make sure that my dog is somewhat well behaved on leash. This only works if my dog's good on leash, and your dog should be good on leash. So we're going to walk past each other. My dog is probably going to react, and this dog is probably going to react. We'll correct them, and we're going to continue to walk. We'll probably walk for another minute. I'll spin, and we come back. We do a similar thing at group class, and this would be a good dog to bring to group class. So we walk past each other again. If there's any reaction, we correct. And we'll do this pump, what we call a pump, about 4 or 5 times until there's no more reaction, until my dog goes, okay, I accept that dog walking, no big deal. If we can't get to that point, then we got to do training before we can actually meet up, right? Now, once our dogs are not reacting anymore, guess what we're going to do? We're now going to walk on the opposite side of the streets together, just like this. We'll go for a 15-minute walk on the opposite street. How you doing? Blah, 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 blah. We can turn and we can go back, but we're going to stay somewhat together. As we get better and there's no reaction and my dog doesn't really care about the other dog because eventually they just won't care, you just get closer and closer. When we're ready, we can actually introduce, but don't get to that point for the first 3 or 4 times. Just get them out there together. You're going to notice your dog's behavior when they're ready. If I'm nervous, I hire a dog trainer, or if I'm nervous, I could use a muzzle, or if I'm nervous, I don't have to let them meet yet, because if I'm nervous, everything else is going to be ruined because of it. Make sense?
Yes.
Next question.
Best way to introduce 3 doggies, one as a puppy, to a newborn, not due for a while.
Number 1, congratulations. That's awesome. So here's what you're going to do. I'm going to go into the whole pregnancy spiel. Let me just read this question here. Someone asked, this way I can just read the comment and get right back to it. They have a small dog who's reactive, or they have a big dog who got attacked by a small dog, and now their big dog's reactive to small dogs on the leash. How do I fix it? Use a short 4-foot standard leather or biothane leash. Use a Hermspring or prong collar. Teach heel without anything around. No distractions. No people, no dogs, no anything. Once I can do that, then I can add in small distractions. Then I can add in the small dog. If my dog starts to fixate, I tell them no, and if they don't listen, they get a leash correction with a collar on, and the dog goes, okay, I can't look at that dog. I'm not trying to meet any of these dogs. What I'm trying to get my dog to understand is you're no longer not allowed to react. You're no longer not allowed to pull or lunge. You're not even allowed to look at these smaller dogs. Now, that means I've got to take care of anything that happens, which I will. I'm the owner. But I need my dog to understand the healing process first, and then we move on from there. Now, how do I introduce newborn? So will you ask that one more time?
Best way to introduce 3 doggies, one as a puppy, to a newborn, not due for a while.
What'd you call that word?
What? Newborn.
No, this
Word.
one.
Doggies.
Doggies?
Isn't that dog? Doggies.
Where do you see the E or the I?
Doggies.
Doggos?
Doggos.
Doggios? Why do you always add in E's and I's, James?
I like the word doggies.
This isn't Wheel of Fortune. You can't buy them out. Okay?
I like doggies.
All right.
Doggos.
I was gonna cut
better.
this. All right, say it one more time so I can cut this out, and then it'll be good for a post.
Best way to introduce.
Start over.
Best way to introduce 3 doggos, one as a puppy, to a newborn, not due for a while.
All right, so number 1, you want to get all of the baby stuff in your house before the baby is here. I cannot stress the importance of that enough. It's hard enough to introduce a dog to new stuff and a new baby at the same time.
Right.
So I get all of my baby stuff, my crib, my rocker, the pad they sleep on, the crate that you're going to put your baby in, everything that you get, you're going to get beforehand. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure that these dogs understand that jumping is not acceptable. Okay? You have to fix the jumping, and the next thing that we're going to do is start getting our dog used to the baby crying noise. Now, why is that important? So I play baby crying noise on my phone every now and again so they can get used to that. And then lastly, I want to get baby gates and crates in my house. I want my dog acceptable to be accepted of separation of my baby. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I want them to be able to go into another room and put a baby gap and say, you're going to be fine over there. You don't need to be where my baby's at right now. If I want to put the baby on the floor, the dogs are nowhere around. When I bring my baby home, I don't offer him like Simba. I hold him. He is mine. And I don't let my dogs come up to me yet because I didn't say it's time. They can sniff from 6 inches away, 2 feet away, or 8 feet away. They don't need to be in somebody's face. Next question.
How do we get our 5-month-old, 48-pound German Shepherd to stop jumping up to the kitchen counters and dining room table? Our grandkids can't eat at the table without her trying to get their food.
So a 5-month, 48-pound Shepherd, is that what I read?
Yep.
That's a big dog. And he's counter surfing.
Yep.
Cool.
And table surfing.
And our grandkids can't eat at the table without her trying to steal their food. Guess where he goes when they eat dinner?
Great.
Goes in the crate! That is correct. So if you have a dog who's stealing food while you're eating dinner, you're going to put him into the crate when you eat. Now, that's not a fix, but you can't do two things at once. You can't eat dinner, correct the dog, and teach him to stay all simultaneous. So what I'm going to have you guys do is put him in the crate when you eat, and we can teach don't jump at the food at a different time. So what I would suggest is, first things first, we could use a leash in the house, or you could use a pet corrector as well, or a squirt bottle as well. Anything to get the dog to go, okay, when I jump up here, something bad happens. He jumps up, I hit the button on the pet corrector, and he goes, ah, shit, and he jumps down, right? Or I can squirt him in the face, and he goes, oh, God, I probably shouldn't jump up anymore. But when you're eating dinner, that's not the time. There's too much excitement. Arousal plays a huge role in almost everything that you do with your dog. If my dog is super aroused when I first introduce some sort of aversive correction, the aversive correction is not going to be all that successful. I'm going to say that again. If I introduce a correction when my dog is extremely excited for the first time, my dog will fail. Does that make sense? When I want to introduce a correction is when my dog is somewhat calm. Because now my dog goes, whoa, I can pay attention to that. So I won't do it when there's chicken and potatoes on the counter. Maybe I'll do it when I'm just walking by the table and there's nothing up there but a paper towel. Keep it at its most, at the smallest stimulus possible. Got it?
Yep.
Perfect. Next question.
I think this one got cut off.
That's okay.
What to do to help an 8-month-old puppy from mouthing?
Is that you or is that them?
What to do?
That was them. All right, you're good. You're
Good.
good.
Okay, I gotta start over. What to do to help an 8-month-old puppy from mouthing and jumping, but mostly mouthing? I tried redirecting. Is this something you can help me with? Also, still trying to get her used to harness when walking she slips out of.
Get rid of the harness. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. So what was the harness created for, Jenilee? It was
Kids.
No,
I'm just kidding.
dude, I've seen kids in harnesses. I don't know if it works or not, but
It's awful. I can't stand it. I feel so bad for the kids.
well, I don't know. It's not my cup of tea is all I'm saying. If I'm going to put something on my kid, it's probably going to be a shock collar or a prong collar, but whatever.
Yeah, that's worse.
But no, so here's the first thing. You got to get rid of the harness. The harness was created for what reason, guys? For pulling. The harness was created for dogs to pull wagons, carts, sleds. They feel so comfortable pulling. So that you got to scrap that. You got to get rid of that. The next thing that you want to do is when my 8-month-old puppy is, if he's constantly jumping and constantly biting and constantly doing this and constantly doing that, he's never engaged or focused on you, which is a problem. Excuse me, which is a problem. So the first thing that you're going to do with this puppy is say, I'm going to take a deep breath. We're going to go out and do 3 15 to 20 minute obedience exercises outside, and then 3 or 4 10 or 15 minute obedience sessions inside every day, where all I do is focus on me and you. I'll take treats, I'll take whatever I need, but I need you to start to focus. Remember, dogs are like children. They're going to get more tired in math class than they would in recess. What do I mean by that? If you make them focus, you make them work, they're going to get more tired. When they're in recess, where there's no structure, there's no rules, and they run around like an asshole for an hour, guess what happens? The kids get more excited. The dog gets more wound up, more aroused. And it's like, dude, I can't exercise you enough. Because exercise has nothing to do with physical exertion. It has everything to do with mental stimulation. Get your dog to focus on you guys. That's going to be the ticket. Next question.
Okay, I was wondering how to get a dog to focus more when things are going on around him. Cars, other dogs, people. He is not aggressive. He just loses control and wants to get to whatever it is so bad. He is very good at training when it's in the house or yard and it's quiet, but as soon as something he wants comes around, he loses all control. This also happens if he gets too playful, which leads to hard play biting. I've tried getting his attention back with treats, but he couldn't care less about them.
Nah, so and I just did a video on this. There's and this is a little bit different than the last question. Why? Well, because the other dog wasn't being trained. I don't think you're engaging him enough. This is an owner who's engaging a lot, but the dog is not responding to the treat because the dog would rather have the other dog, the person, the squirrel. In my last, one of the videos I just put up, I talked about ignoring versus correcting. I think I just put it up on Instagram yesterday or the day beforehand. You can ignore behaviors that are minor, but I cannot ignore a behavior that is going to be detrimental or that is a learned behavior that happens over and over again. Once a behavior is at that point, there has to be a consequence. So in this dog's life, when he's doing all these things, this pulling, and most of leash reactivity starts as a friendly dog who pulls, who can't get to what he wants, and builds a frustration. So if I build a lot of frustration, someone just sent me a text, harnesses are for kids, LOL, with a question mark. Excuse me. If I'm a dog and I'm pulling a lot to get to that dog and I never get to him, I'm gonna build a lot of frustration. Now my brain goes, that dog is causing my frustration, and hence we have leash reactivity. It turns into a huge problem. So this dog is a prime candidate of a dog who needs a correction. Get a Hermsprenger collar. Make sure it's small and tight and stays up high, and practice changing direction. So I'm going to go on a walk. As soon as he starts to fixate, heel, I'm going to turn. I'm going to turn my body. He's going to try to go this way. He's going to feel the collar and go, whoa, where are we going? And you're going to go, good boy. Good job. Sit. Now he's going to go, okay, because what was that? Good treat. And he goes, okay, that's not half bad. But when would I first practice that? Once again, when my dog is not aroused. If I let my dog ever get to level 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of excitement, there's nothing I can do there. That means I've failed and I restride. I'm on a walk with a reactive dog. If I'm on a walk with a reactive dog and my dog is losing his mind, lunging, I just go, okay, I screwed up, pull him away and we get away from it. I don't go, correction, 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 correction. Because at that point, it's not doing anything. I've already it's my fault. My timing was off. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You got to correct them as soon as they do this. As soon as they perk up like this, no, correction, okay, now I can focus on you. But if I let them get too far, the hope is gone. Next question.
What can I do when my two labs start growling and snarling at each other?
That's a big time problem. That's a really big time problem. That's not good because those are two big dogs, and especially if you're by yourself in a situation where there's two labs, what I would suggest is, number one, why is my dog growling? What is that's what our problems are. Getting him to focus on us. Yeah, well, start making the walk not A to B and all over the place, and make it training the whole time, not leash walking the whole time. How can I get my two labs? So labs are growling at each other. Why is my lab growling at each other? Is it over food? If it's over food, they eat in their kennel. If it's over the couch, they're not allowed on the couch anymore. Just like that. If they've ever growled because of the couch, they're off the couch for good. And if I have a hard time keeping them off the couch, they're both on leashes. And they both could be on leashes anyways. If I'm by myself, I'm going to crate one while I train the other, crate the other one and train the other. That seems like strict, but I can't let this get any worse. Because if it does, it takes one bad fight. I'm not saying your dogs are going to kill each other. Right. But it takes one bad fight for me to go, oh, that was $5,000. You know what I mean? It's like, no, let me make sure I get back to the basics. Now, on a side note, you do need to get back to the basics because we need to change the relationship between me and my dogs together. The way I do that is by being a better leader. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Next question. How many times a day do you think I ask the question, does that make sense?
Too many.
There's no such thing as too many, and I'll tell you why, Jen. They're going to either say, yes, it makes sense, or they're going to go, yes. And I go, you're full of crap. It does not make sense. I'm going to re-explain it to you again. Okay?
He re-explains stuff to me all the time.
Just turning. So I put a story up today about my jandals. So I wear jandals in
awful.
They're amazing. But I put a funny story up on my Instagram. I think it's on my Facebook too about my Air Jesuses that I wear. I would highly recommend watching the story, but it's absolutely tremendous. Next question. You know what? I got a question for you before we get in. I got a question for you guys. Dude, so on my phone I can I get updates. We just keep getting people commenting on the jandals. But here's the thing. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Why does a duck not wear any underwear?
Why?
Because it gets stuck in his quack.
That's awful. Dad joke fail.
Classic.
Who tells you these?
Well, an 11-year-old. So I was at a
Oh.
client's house training their dog, and and she was talking, and her mom goes, man, I don't know what's going on. She never talks to anybody but family members. She would never talk to a stranger. Well, I'm Uncle Vinnie. I'm not just a family, I'm a family member, right? So when I am, when I'm over there, she goes, hey, Vinnie, I got to tell you a joke. Yeah, what's up? She tells me this. I die. Like, lose my mind, because I was like, I did not expect this 11-year-old to tell me this joke. I texted to my dad at the session, because I'm like, he's going to love this. Like, I texted to my dad. I say, hey, why does duck not wear sandals, right? And she goes, or wear sandals.
Okay.
Why does the duck not wear underwear? And he sends me back, why? Question mark. I said, because it gets stuck in his quack. He sends me back, are you day drinking? Just a legendary response.
Are you day drinking?
Next question.
How can I get my boyfriend's dog to actually use the bathroom outside? She's so stubborn and just plays around, but as soon as you bring her in, she goes potty.
So if I go out to the bathroom and my dog doesn't go to the bathroom, they go into the crate or they stay on leash. You don't give them freedom. You want to crate your dog as much as possible, and when your dog does pee outside, you want to treat it within 2 seconds of them peeing outside. Never treat your dog for coming into the house. Always treat them on the outside. Next question.
What is the best way to introduce the crate to our 7-year-old fearful, anxious American Bulldog rescue?
Yep.
His history is unknown to us.
Mm-hmm.
When we attempted to crate him after adopting him, the 65-pound dog literally squeezed himself through a corner seam.
And that's terrifying.
Also, he is not house trained. I feel that we absolutely have to crate train him. Thanks.
You do have to crate train him. So the first things first is I got to get a better crate. You have a few different options on getting a really good crate. A gunner kennel is a really good crate. Impact crate, and there's a lot of like heavy duty crates. Why do I want a heavy duty crate? Because I can't have my dog trying to sneak out because it's detrimental to his life at that point. And you never put a collar on this dog. Now that's one note. Now how do I make my dog more comfortable? More treats in the crate. More feeding in the crate. You can give him treats for walking into the crate. You can throw his ball into the crate so he wants to go in there, and I would crate him at night. It's 8 hours of free crate time when he's next to your bed. So now he has a better association with it. Most people, once again, put the dog in the crate and leave the house. Don't lock him in until he's comfortable with the crate itself while you're home. Once he's comfortable with that, then put him in and leave for half an hour and watch him on a camera. Then leave for an hour and 2 hours and 3 hours. And when you come back home, don't associate with him for 5 minutes. Let him simmer down before you let him out, and don't talk to him. He has to figure that out on his own. Next question.
Tips for beginning to teach a 5-month-old puppy duration on place.
That's great. Nice. Who asked this question?
I did Blue Staffy.
This is a really good question. So, how do I teach my dog duration on place? Super simple game. You're gonna take your leash and your treat, and you're gonna coax your 5-month-old puppy on place. He's gonna get up on place. You're gonna give him a treat. And you're gonna back up 2 steps, wait 3 seconds, walk back to him, give him a treat, walk back 2 steps, wait 10 seconds. Give him a treat, walk back 15 steps. Or 3 steps, 15 seconds. Give him a treat, walk back. Okay, he can't do 45 seconds yet. Perfect. We'll work in the range of 20 to 35 seconds. I'll go back and I'll give him a treat. Sometimes after 3 reps of 35 seconds, or sometimes after 1 rep of 35 seconds, I'll come back, grab the leash, manually get my dog off of place and say free, or break, release. Anything but okay is acceptable. Don't call your dog come off of place. When you guys are at the beginning stages of teaching your dog place, never call him off of it. Why? Because it validates him coming off too early in the training. So now he's always guessing, am I going to come off? Once my dog knows place, and once he knows I'm always going to come back to you, you can start to add it in later, but not until my dog is solid, like a rock on place. Does that make sense? So you back up a couple feet, go back to him. There's 3 Ds: duration, distance, distraction. Start with duration. So 5 feet, 0 seconds, 10, 20, 30, 40, 60. Then 10 feet, 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 60. 15, 0, 10, 20. And then added distractions, dropping treats onto the floor, walking into another room, opening up a door, whatever it is at that point. Next question.
Okay, how to stop a dog from chewing his bed?
Stop giving it to him. You can spray bitter apple on it. If you are around when it's happening, you can use like a squirt bottle. You can spray the bitter apple. You could use the leash correction. But if he's doing it when you're not around, your dog doesn't get his bed anymore. No dog should ever get a dog bed in their crate if they chew it when you're away. Stop spending money. Stop wasting money. They get nothing. They can sleep on the plastic. They're going to be fine. But yeah, if he's ever chewing your bed when you're not home, get rid of it. Next question.
What is Jenelee's biggest pet peeve with dogs that go to the doghouse or with the humans? Honestly, it's you not being completely honest about your dog's behavior.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, that's a big one for me. I will sit there and talk to you until I'm blue in the face, but I need to know how your dog is.
It's very important.
That way you're not setting your dog up for failure, and you're not setting me up for failure. If your dog's a mouthy dog, tell me. If you're still potty training, tell me. You know, I'm here to work with you and your dog together. But if I don't know what's happening or what I'm up against, it's a little rocky to start out with.
Yeah, it's just harder. It's absolutely harder. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to tell you funny, now that we're on that tidbit. So we get like our secretary is Andy, the single greatest human being of all time, after me. And our secretary is Andy, and people will text him or email him. He'll do the file on the client, right? He'll do the file on the client, and then in the notes, it'll talk about the dog, right? And one of my favorite things about Andy is when he does the notes, he'll go, okay, 4-year-old German Shepherd dog mix, who's extremely reactive, dog aggressive, jumps up, bit the man, but he's sweet though.
But he's sweet.
It's like, what the heck are you talking about? How does that happen?
I love that.
God bless him, Andy. All right, next question. He's dying right now. I know he's dying. Next question.
How to get your dog to stop barking when he doesn't get what he wants.
Never give him what he wants. Be more patient. Get headphones. If it's an ongoing problem and say he's doing it all the time, you're going to have to eventually correct. But at the beginning, just ignore the behavior. If my dog's barking a lot, what does that tell me if he's barking a lot? That means he's not getting sufficient amount of exercise, both mentally and physically. So people always look for the correction when they should be looking for the why is the problem happening. How do I fix the actual problem versus correcting the outcome of a problem? Dogs who bark are demanding because I don't demand enough from them. And they are typically anxious because I don't do enough of them. So fix that first, then worry about the correction next. So don't worry about correcting yet. Next question.
My puppy eats everything off the ground when outside. Distraction doesn't work. Help.
Yeah, so it depends on your age of your puppy. If he's like 12 weeks old, just try your best to keep him moving, coax him away from it, no big deal. And then keep him out of the grass too, because there's more shit in the grass than there is on the street, and you can't see anything when it's in the grass. Right. So keep him on the street. If he's like 3, 4, 5, 6 months old, people use the word puppy for a lot of different ages, which makes it difficult, right? So if my puppy's like 8, 9 months old, cool, he's getting a training collar, he's going to learn leave it outside, but I also have to teach leave it on the inside. Now, you want to get your dog conditioned to the word leave it on the inside of training. The way we do this is normally with a leash. You can do it with a leash, and you can drop food. Your dog goes for it, tell him no, and bring him closer to you. He sits down and looks at you, you give him food, or you can do it with your hand. He goes for the food, you tell him leave it, he doesn't listen, you shut your hand, and you wait till he sits down, and then you can give him a piece of treat. But you have to get your dog used to the word leave it, and then once he's used to the word leave it, then you could use it everywhere. Next question. A lot of people teach the dog the word no as leave it as well. It doesn't really matter to me. Next question.
What's one tip you would give trainers to help with clients who don't do homework?
You know, that's a weird question because we actually had a question similar to this about have you ever had somebody who doesn't do their homework or doesn't
put the work in.
So what's the one tip you would give trainers to help? This guy, he's a trainer in Maryland. I'll actually tag him at the end. He's a nice guy. What's one tip you would give to trainers to help with clients who don't do their homework? Here's the thing, man. Not everybody wants a dog that it's going to be as good as your dog, right? And you have to accept that. Right? That's a very difficult thing for a lot of people to accept, especially myself, because I'm a perfectionist. I also know that your dog has more potential than you ever see. So for me, it's like, dude, you have to put in the work, and I explain that. But then the other thing is constant updates. We make our clients send a lot of updates, and when they don't send them, you know, okay, well, number one, a lot of people are busy, so I get it. But when they don't send updates, they're not going to be as consistent. If you send an update, right, and just a quick little, hey, this is good, this is bad, it could, some people's updates are like 4 pages long. I don't get mad at it. It just takes me longer to go through it. But I like that. We should keep more updates. Just, hey, this is how we've been doing recently. Check out this video, 30-second video. Awesome. What I'm going to send back is, dude, you're the best. Keep it up. Or, dude, you screwed that up. You need to change this. So the easiest way to get your clients to listen to you better is keep them honest with more updates every week. And if they don't text you back, look. So if it's Tuesday of last week, I look back. Hey, Jackson didn't text me back. That Jaguar. I'm gonna, hey, text me back. How's the update or how's the training going? But I think that's going to be important. And then make sure your client relationship is really, really good. I'm really open with a lot of my clients. You know, we're up front. I'm not like I'm a pretty straight shooter, so that really does help too. Next question. Dude, I get these things on, I'm going to touch this dog profile. If you decide to follow me, I'll give you cuddles when I see you. Deal? No, listen, peasant, you have an Instagram account for your dog. How many people have an Instagram account for their dog?
Hey, wasn't that one of your things
yeah,
today?
and a lot of people said yes. I'm like, man, you guys have so much commitment to being a dog mom or dad. It's incredible.
Yeah, but I know some have them for their dog, but don't have personal ones. Like they just got on Instagram for their dog.
They're creeping. Next question.
Okay, why does my dog hate being walked by my mother? Flat out refuses.
Wow, that's a great question. Why does my dog not walk with my mother? It's probably because she's a terrible pack leader. Excuse me, she's a terrible pack leader. So if my dog doesn't want to walk with a specific human being, they're probably not doing a lot of the training, right? Same thing happens with like a husband and a wife scenario where one of them do 99% of the training, the other person goes, why doesn't he listen to me? It's because you don't do anything with him. They have to take a part of the training. And if they don't, guess what? No big deal. Like for me, I would prefer that no training is better than bad training. If this is happening, cool. If your mom wants to walk the dog, no thanks, mom. I'm not going to give you the collar and the leash because I don't want you to do it. My dog doesn't respect you enough. So I'm not going to put my dog in a position where he gets unsure. Now, as soon as my mom says, okay, I'm going to take the reins from this, or whoever take the rein from this, and I'm going to start improving our relationship, how do you do that? Do obedience training every day. 3 15-minute sessions, 45 minutes a day, not that big of a deal. Now, if they don't live with you, this is where it gets really complicated, right? But then again, why do you care, right? If they don't live with you, don't ever take the dog out for a walk and call it a day. No training is always better than bad training. Next question.
My 5-month-old GSD walks great on leash until last 5 minutes when he pulls me home. Tips?
This is great. This is a good question. So for the next week, guess what your walk is going to consist of? So you're going to be here. This is your house. You're going to come out. You're going to walk 3 minutes this way, spin, 3 minutes this way. We're going to do a training session, 3 minutes this way, training session, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, training session, come back home. I need my dog to understand he doesn't. Dogs are like horses going back to the barn. If they know where they're going, they're going to pull. So if I never walk past my house and I always make the same loop, that's where the problem occurs. So make sure you guys are changing the walk up.
Okay, you wanted me to remind you this from Tuesday.
Yes.
Should you feed your dog a vegan diet?
Why did you do that?
You told me to remind you.
I was in such a good mood. No, you should not feed your dog a vegan diet. No. So guys, here's the thing. There's a hysterical video which I'm going to post as soon as I can find it. Hysterical video of someone who said their dog prefers a vegan diet over meat diet. And it's just, number one, it's just not true. But she prefers it. So she takes out her vegan diet for her dog and she puts the dish down. And this is on a talk show, which is hysterical. And then she takes out her meat and she puts the meat down. She goes, oh, he would never go for the meat. What's the dog do? Bypasses the disgustingness in the vegan diet and he goes over. Now, some dogs may have enough allergies or situation. There's an asterisk to everything, right? I'm not talking about the 1 out of a million dog. I'm talking about dogs. They need meat. They need meat. Now, they need a really balanced diet, but they need meat. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, please don't feed your dog vegan. Now, if you guys want to eat vegan, that's a cool, different story. I have no idea about human nutrition. Not that I know all that much about dog nutrition, but I do know one thing. If my dog in the wild had the opportunity to kill a rabbit and eat it, he would do it 100 out of 100 times. Next question.
Okay, so last one. Ready?
Yes.
It's a long one. Since you, Vinnie, came to our house last year, training has been off and on.
Been off and on.
That's not what it says. My kids and husband never followed the rules that I was taught and I shared with them in our training session. I'm back at it and starting from the beginning.
Good.
Your videos have motivated me lately, so thanks.
That's why I put them up there, guys, is for motivation and to keep you guys honest. So this is good, but you got to get back to it.
My dog can play, sit, stay, but not for long.
That's okay.
Now to my recent issue. Mm-hmm. We are on an acre or so lot of land and wildlife around. When I let my dog out, I normally go out with him. Mm-hmm. He is on a long leash. Mm-hmm. After he does his thing, he is on watchdog alert for the deer that roam by. He immediately goes to a level 10 and it's hard to snap him out of it. His head is like a bobblehead looking all around and reacting to every noise. He is 2 years old and about 85 pounds, St. Bernard Poodle mix. Damn. So when he sees the deer and barks like crazy, it's hard to control him.
So this is a classic example of a dog who's getting too much freedom. So if my dog is going out, he's on a long leash, he sees a deer, I can't rein him in, guess what happens? I got to shorten the leash up. So now he goes out. It doesn't matter if you have an acre of land or 25 acres of land. If I have an acre of land and he's not earned the behavior to enjoy that acre of land, he's on a 4-foot leash. He's on a 4-foot leash, and if I have to, I can even put the training collar on in this position because I do not want him dragging. If he pulls that leash hard enough out of your hand, or if it's in a stake, whatever it is, you're going to be a world of hurting. We talked about reactivity and arousal level. If my dog gets to arousal level of 10, nothing I can do. And you just talked about that. Or if my dog sees a deer, he'll, boom, turn, we're going right back into the house. I'm not going to put up with that. And every time I go out this door, this is so important. Everybody should do this. Every time that I go out this door, I should put my dog into a sit. I'm going to open up the door. He's going to try to run out to go see the deer, whatever it is. I'm going to shut the door. Dude, we're not going out. Back into a sit. Sit, open up the door. He tries to go out, shut the door and tell him sit. I will not let this dog go through this opening until he is calm. If we can walk out the door first calmly, then we're going to set ourselves up with success. But if he pulls me to go out to the bathroom, you're in trouble. Shorter leash, make sure you don't let him out until you tell him it's time, and he understands that he has to wait for you every single time. Sometimes make him wait 5 seconds. There's been days where I make my dogs wait 5 to 10 minutes to go out the door. I'll go on Facebook and I'll do a post, and my dog mentally, they thought, hey, we're going to go out for a walk. And then I have to sit there for 5 to 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes of my training exercise, though. That's what we have to understand. So if I go out for a 45-minute walk and I spend 10 of it making him wait at the door, that's a great 10 minutes of training. It's
right.
Tremendous. I only have 35 minutes to walk now. I want to thank you guys for your questions. I'm sorry we had to do it on a Thursday. We're going to be back next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. live on Instagram and Facebook. You guys are the absolute greatest people in the world. I love you very much. You have a great rest of your day. See you guys.